How's it going, guys? All right, so why is it considered okay um, for theaters to pull The Interview, the film starring Seth Rogen and James Franco, where they are these two, where James Franco is his TV host, Seth Rogen is, I believe, a producer, maybe a writer. I'm not 100% sure. Anyway, they are recruited by the CIA to go over to North Korea and kill Kim Jong Un. Um, So it's supposed to be this silly, wacky, sort of action-packed comedy. I think. I don't know. It looked like there might be a decent amount of action once they get to North Korea. Just some, just silly stuff. But why is it okay for this anonymous group to say, "Hey, we're gonna hurt. We might do things. We might. You might not know where. You might not know when. But we might do things that may hurt you for playing this film." What? All right, I get that that people did play it, it might technically lead to people being hurt, but this issue is so much bigger when it comes to things like censorship, um, and not to mention freaking terrorism. I mean, how is this okay? Honestly, like how are Sony executives being like, hey, you know what? They hacked a whole bunch of our stuff, got a whole bunch of emails, and now all these movies are getting canceled. And the hackers who are claiming responsibility are called Guardians of Peace. Guardians of Peace. Tasty. Oh, you thought I was going to put this down now. No. No. I'm holding this because that is a crock of shit. Guardians of Peace? How dare you threaten us over a fucking comedy? Get over yourselves, kid. You think Bush tried to threaten people when someone made a movie called, wait, shit, it was like Killing the President or How to Kill the President, and it literally had someone look exactly like him and he was brutally murdered? You shrugged it off, dude. What about when Charlie, there was a movie, I think it was called like The Dictator, no, not The Dictator, that's the one with Sarah Baden Cohen or something, or Sarah Boston Cohen, I can't remember his name. You know, the Borat guy. Charlie Chaplin, I think, did a movie like the Dictator, or shit, I can't remember. He was basically parodying Nazis. He was basically parodying the Nazis, and nothing happened to him from it. Now I know. Well, Dylan, the communication is much bigger, and more people can access information much quicker than back then. Of course, this is all very true, but Kim Jong Un honestly has legitimately no right. When you are a political leader in our modern day world, people aren't going to like you. There's going to be a lot of them. And because of that new communication I just mentioned, they all can communicate. All on the earth, all through the internet. Tough shit. Also, Sony, really? You're pulling it? What, because they mentioned 9/11? Dude, I'll be honest with you. Let's say something did happen that didn't pull it. I'd honestly feel bad for people. I would. But you're letting terrorism run your life. You are operating this out of fear. How is that okay? Seriously, it irks me. That's something that's supposed to be funny. I mean, for God's sake, it's got Seth Rogen. With all due respect to Mr. Rogen and Franco, I know they played some serious roles, but it's supposed to be a comedy, make you laugh, chuckle. Why is it okay? All right, well, let's look at this from this perspective. In lots of movies, millions of people, no, probably more like thousands of people get killed in movies, right? They're no names, they don't matter. But suddenly a political figure of one of the most hated countries on the planet gets assassinated. And that's the problem? You know, it's funny because in the '80s, when we had all these movies when the Russians were villains, the Russians were mad. Don't get me wrong. Like, they didn't, they weren't exactly thrilled. But the Americans, or I'm sorry, the United States, we still played the films. Red Dawn, Rocky Four, even though that technically didn't have anything to do with it. If you guys have seen Rocky Four, you know what I'm talking about. Hunt for Red October, even though that had Sean Connery, which was awesome, but his accent, so that was weird. Those are the three that's popping in my head. I'm sure there's much more with Russian villains. But hell, even now, we've got all these Islamic State villains, or we've got all these Middle Eastern villains. And, I'm sure someone's been offended or upset, but we still show them. But now, because this glorified dickhead, which, by the way, I personally believe North Korea was behind Guardians of Peace or whatever Guardians of the Galaxy bullshit they were going off of. I do firmly believe North Korea had at least some hand in doing this, because they got pissed because it's Kim Jong Un. He's got all this power and nothing to do but wank his jank. So, what else is he gonna do? Oh, someone's making fun of me. Oh, I don't like that. Oh, like, dude, get the fuck over yourself. How dare you feel that you're something better? You run a country where you have millions of people dying. You know what's funny? I know some people are going to counter-argue saying, well, we have the same here. This is true, but at least I believe we've tried in some ways to help it, to at least stop it. People are going to die. That's just a fact. The way this son of a bitch does it, though. Oh. Dude. Your hair, your religion, what you eat, where you work, what you watch, what you say. Everything's controlled. Don't get me wrong, I know there are some people who feel they have a win in the U.S. government, but look, no country's perfect. No leader's perfect. No regime is perfect. No body of government is perfect. But, this is horse shit. They're pulling that fucking movie. Are you kidding me? Get over yourselves. And, for those of you who may feel, well, is it really worth people dying? I should make fun of you. I should. Is it really worth people dying for the sake of censorship? Not for the sake of censorship, but for the sake of our overall freedom of who we are and where we are from and where the world is today. Censorship is one thing. I do not like the idea of censorship. I do not. And I do not believe most things are worth dying for. I'm very, not a pacifist entirely, but I don't like when people die for useless bullshit. That being said, we cannot allow terrorism to control us like that. And with all due respect, this is North Korea here. They can't even get a freaking warhead missile to launch right. So are we really scared of them sending over certain agents to do scary things? Scary message! This is... Come on. Nothing's gonna happen. And even if it did, even if it freaking did, it would just give the U.S. government an excuse to basically blow the crap out of North Korea. Granted, we might invoke the wrath of the Chinese again, but if the Chinese know they started it, who knows? Who knows? Sorry, my computer keeps going idle whenever I make these videos. I'm just saying, it's horse, it's just a load of crap, pulling this. And this was supposed to be a really funny comedy for Christmas. Granted, I don't think it's appropriate. Personally, I don't like places being open for Christmas. Not that I'm a Christian. I just, hey man, let's all have a day off. Seriously, like let's everybody have a day off at the same time. Get together and drink beers. Watch hockey. Even though that kind of goes against what I just said. But I'm not perfect. So what I'm getting at is we cannot let terrorism control us. Granted, I'm a big fat American from the Midwest, so some of you might be thinking, what the hell does he know about freedom of expression? Probably nothing, or maybe as little as you, or maybe a little more. Who knows? I just don't like the idea of me not being able to watch a film because someone from 3,000, however many miles away North Korea is, says, well, I may or may not hurt you. That's weird, man. It's weird. It's freaking weird. Well, thanks for watching. Please subscribe and share with your friends. The interview, hopefully coming out this Christmas. But apparently the 5 major theaters have been like, deuces.